hello everyone from me and Winnie. I thought I would be a daredevil and try to film with you with Winnie. You can see she's everywhere, okay? She is absolutely everywhere. This dog, look at her. Just busy girl. But hopefully she'll want to come and snuggle for a little bit. And let's get right into it. Today, I would like to film the quarter year reading crisis tag, which is such a fun tag. This is created by Roisin, and I saw this first over on Grace at GK Reads. And truly, like, we don't have anything in Booktube for this time of year. We have like mid-year freakout. We've got the end of year tag, nothing for this time of year. So thank you, Roisin, for creating this tag in the first place. The first question is, how many books have you read so far this year? Now, on GOODREADS, it says 29, but I think that is including things like some of my DNFs. So I think it's much less than that. Oh no. Question number 2 is, have you already found a book that might be a 2022 favorite? I have 2. I'm so lucky. I've been having such a good reading year. I hope that you guys have been as well. So I have 2 books that I think are positively incredible. The first book is the first book that I read in 2022. So I think I just started off well, and that is Single Thread by Tracy Chevalier. This follows a woman named Violet. It is just after the Great War. She did not marry, but I think she had been dating someone who passed away in the war. And she's trying to make a life for herself, a single life. And she is, you know, kind of in charge of taking care of her mother, who she has some tension with. But she also is working on her own. She's also doing some volunteer work at a cathedral to like sew things like cushions for the pews and that kind of thing. And it sounds like a very ordinary woman's life and the tale of an ordinary woman's life, and it is, but there's still romance in here, which you know me, I have no heart, and yet I did care about her love life in this particular novel. There were actually quite a few. Winnie is chewing this toy, so if you hear that, that's what is happening. There's also quite a few scary moments in this book, which I loved. And it was my first Tracy Chevalier book, and it will not be my last. I've already read another one this year. She is amazing. Yes. I also fell in love with Ladder to the Sky by Boyne. This was an incredible book as well. It follows a series of people, but really we're following Maurice, who is a want-to-be writer, and he has a hard time coming up with plots. And it's the stories themselves that he has a hard time with. He loves writing, he's a great writer, but he needs help in that, you know, imagination department. And so what he does often is get his stories from other people. And he is one of the most unlikable characters I have ever read. And it's funny because at first you read it and you're like, he's not so bad. And then you get into it and you're like, oh, wow. Wow. Will do anything for fame and success. I loved it. Question number 3 is, do you have any 1-star books or least favorite books that you've read this year? And I do. And it's kind of an unpopular opinion. It's The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. I think I'm kind of done with Lucy Foley at this point. I've not liked either of the books that I read by her. The Hunting Party followed a group of friends who go to a hunting lodge for New Year's Eve. They knew each other in college. And of course, they go to this hunting lodge and then someone is killed. And you are essentially going from person to person trying to figure out who did what the motive is for one person to die. You also don't know who dies in the end. But I feel like her books are very formulaic and kind of copy themselves. Like the other book that I read by her, which I'm forgetting what it's called now, did the same thing. It was the same idea, except that was a wedding. And I was bored by this. And also there was a lot of hunting in this. I shouldn't have been shocked by that, by the name, but I just didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't care who died or who did it by the end of it. Question number 4 is, what is your most read genre this year? And I have been reading a lot of literary fiction this year, a lot of historical fiction as per usual, more than usual though. Often a lot of historical fiction that's literary, and then also thrillers. So nothing insanely new, but I would say I'm reading more literary fiction than I ever have before. So that's good. Question number 5 is a book that surprised you. And this can be surprised you in a good way, surprised you in a bad way. And for me, I have a book that surprised me in a good way. And that book is 24/6, The Power of Unplugging One Day a Week by Tiffany Shlain. This is a nonfiction book. Now for Tiffany and her family, they start their day of no screens whatsoever on Friday night, and they end it on Saturday night. And I really love the idea of this, of not reaching for your phone all the time, not going on social media. I'm starting to do it myself, but in my own way, and specifically on Saturdays. I'm not as strict as she is. Like, she suggests things like get a landline and put your phone away and you won't be reachable by phone. Like, I want to be reachable if there's an issue. And anyway, I'm not taking it quite as seriously as her, but I'm also not writing a whole book about it. But I am really stepping away from social media on Saturdays. And it's been really good for me. I play with Nora more intentionally, and I watch movies with her. So I'm also watching TV at times with Nora, but I'm just not doing my own thing, really. I'm not stuck on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or what have you. I also find that I'm watching movies more fully now. Like, I'm not looking at my phone at the same time. So I'm actually resting, and I'm reading books without checking my phone. So I'm getting more rest in because of this book, and that's a pretty great thing. Question number 6, is there a book that's come out in 2022 already that you want to read but haven't yet? Yes, there are a few of them, but the one that keeps coming to mind over and over again is Beneath the Stairs. So Beneath the Stairs is meant to be a gothic story about 2 friends who visit what's supposed to be a haunted house. And while they're there, something terrible goes wrong. One of the friends ends up leaving. She grows up and she leaves this little town, but her other friend is left behind. And that girl, or that woman, I suppose, at this point, tries to die by suicide in that home, in that house, and she is now in a coma. So our main character is the friend that got away and is coming back and trying to find out why her friend did this, what happened at the house. It sounds creepy and dark and all of those good things. I am hoping that Jennifer Fawcett will be like the new Simone St. James for me. So we shall see, and I will report back. Question number 7 is, what is one goal you made that you're succeeding at? I love this question because it's nice to have something to be excited about in that way and proud of. One of my reading goals that I made for 2022 is to read more literary fiction. And I'm having one of the best reading years so far, like, fingers crossed, knock on wood, having one of the best reading years of my life, which is wonderful. And I'm finding new authors, and I'm reading translated works of fiction as well. And it's just been really great. Tracy Chevalier is a new author, a new favorite author of mine, thanks to this goal. And what I'm trying to do is, essentially, when I am picking out a new audiobook to get out from the library, I'm just trying to be aware and trying to pick literary fiction in that moment. And that's helped me a lot. So it's like almost half of my reading now is literary fiction. Question number 8. What is one goal you have made for 2022 that you need to focus on more? And I think for me, that would probably be reading more on my e-reader. I just did a whole video that I will link for you guys about kind of buying the Kobo, why I got a Kobo, and then the books that I started buying on Kobo. But I do want to read more on my Kobo. I read In the Woods by Tana French on my Kobo, and I just loved that experience. The whole point of getting the Kobo was to take books out of the library, specifically a series. So I'd like to do more of that. It's just, I have found that sometimes my library doesn't carry all of the series that I want to read. So I am kind of stuck going to the library or buying them myself. So there is that drawback, but I do want to read more on my Kobo because it's so nice at night. It's so wonderful. It's also really great when you have a toddler running around who likes to rip books. Like this room. Maybe I should put a lock on this room. I don't know. But so I have a toddler, and then I have this little gremlin, beautiful gremlin of my heart, who also likes to terrorize things, all sorts of things. Right, Winnie? She won't say. Question number 9, and the last question is, what is a new to you booktuber or bookstagrammer or book talker for 22 that you recommend? Now, I realized reading this question that I'm kind of boring, and I've kind of stepped away from looking for new booktubers. But I do have one that I have watched quite a bit of her videos, and that is Sav at Riveting Reads. She reads a lot of thrillers and horror, and one thing that she does every month, which I really appreciate, is showing what the latest releases are specifically for thriller and horror for a given month. I usually feel like I'm on top of this, but sometimes she'll throw one out there that I'm like, I had no idea that was coming. And I really, really appreciate when people do that for me because it saves me from doing the work. So I have a few people that I'd like to tag. First, I'd like to tag Sav from Riveting Reads. I'd like to tag Lauren from Lauren and the Books, and I would like to tag Krista from Books and Jams. And that's it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this little tag. I think I'm going to do this next year as well, because it's very lovely to kind of recap where you are so far and helps you figure out your goals and keep them top of mind as well. So I appreciate that. I will talk with you guys soon. Do you want to say goodbye, Winnie? She doesn't really understand where the camera is. Do you know where the camera is? I don't know, and I don't really like being manhandled this way. It's very rude. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.